When Ethan Cole stepped into the wrong elevator on a freezing Chicago afternoon, he had exactly 12 minutes to reach his daughter's school before they called emergency services. The doors slid open on the executive floor, somewhere he never belonged, and Victoria Ashford walked in. 8 years ago, she'd been the woman he planned to marry. Now she was the CEO who signed his paychecks, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Their eyes met. Neither spoke. The elevator climbed in silence while everything Ethan had buried came rushing back. If you're watching this, hit that like button right now and drop a comment with your city. I want to see how far this story travels. Let's get into it. The elevator smelled like expensive perfume and polished steel. Ethan pressed himself against the back wall, gripping his toolbox so hard his knuckles went white. Victoria stood near the control panel, staring straight ahead like he wasn't there. Her reflection in the mirrored door looked sharp, untouchable. His looked exactly like what he was, a guy in a maintenance uniform with grease under his fingernails and Emma's school on speed dial. 14 floors to go. He counted them in his head, each ding another small eternity. The heating system hummed. Somewhere above them, metal groaned against metal. Victoria shifted her weight and adjusted the leather portfolio tucked under her arm. She didn't look at him. Not once. Ethan tried not to look at her either, but his eyes kept drifting. Same straight posture, same way she held her shoulders back like she was ready to walk through walls. He used to know what she looked like first thing in the morning, hair messy, stealing his coffee while sketching building plans across their kitchen table. That version of her felt like someone he'd imagined. The elevator slowed, stopped. 12th floor. The doors opened. Nobody got on. They slid shut again. Victoria's phone buzzed. She pulled it out, glanced at the screen, typed something fast. Her nails were painted a dark red he didn't recognize. Everything about her was different now, sharper, colder, like she'd sanded off every soft edge and replaced it with something that couldn't be hurt. Ethan. His name came out flat. Not a question, just acknowledgement. He cleared his throat. Victoria. You're still here. Yeah. I didn't know. No reason you would. The conversation died there. What else was there to say? Hey, remember when we were going to build a life together? Remember when you thought I abandoned you for no reason and I let you think that because the truth would have destroyed you? 9th floor. His phone buzzed. The school. He didn't need to check it to know Emma's fever had gotten worse. Miss Lindholm, the school nurse, had already called twice. Emma hated being sick, hated the waiting room, hated when the other kids stared because she signed instead of spoke. She'd be sitting in the nurse's office right now, scared, wondering where he was. You need to take that? Victoria asked. I know what it says. Then maybe you should go. I'm trying. The elevator jolted. Not much, just enough to make them both grab the railing. The lights flickered. Ethan's stomach dropped. Of all the days for this building's ancient infrastructure to act up, of course it'd be today. Victoria frowned at the control panel. Is this normal? It's old. Everything in this building's old. You'd know. He wasn't sure if that was an insult or just a fact. With Victoria, it was hard to tell anymore. The elevator started moving again, slower this time. 8th floor, 7th. Ethan watched the numbers drop and thought about the last time they'd been this close. 8 years ago, outside her apartment, snow falling, her face wet with tears she wouldn't explain. She'd told him to leave, told him she couldn't do this anymore, wouldn't say what this was. He'd stood there in the cold, waiting for an explanation that never came, until she shut the door and he realized she meant it. He'd walked away believing she'd given up on him. She'd walked away believing he'd given up first. And Marcus Ashford, her father, the man who built this company from nothing, had made sure neither of them ever learned the truth. 6th floor. Victoria's phone rang. She answered without looking at the screen. I'm in the elevator. I'll call you back. Whoever it was tried to say something. She hung up. Busy day? Ethan asked. He didn't know why. Maybe just to fill the silence. Every day's busy. Right. CEO stuff. Something like that. Another jolt, harder this time. The elevator shuddered, groaned, stopped dead between floors. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting everything in a dim red glow. Victoria's face looked ghostly. Ethan's toolbox hit the floor with a metallic crash. "You've got to be kidding me," Victoria muttered. Ethan was already moving, prying open the control panel. Wires, circuit boards. Nothing he could fix without shutting down half the building. He pulled out his radio. "Clay, you there?" Static. "Clay, it's Ethan. Executive elevator stuck between 6 and 7. You copy?" More static, then a garbled voice. "Hear you. Power surge. Working on it. How long?" 20 minutes, maybe 30. Ethan closed his eyes. 30 minutes. Emma would be terrified. Victoria watched him. "Is it safe?" "Safe enough. We're not falling." "That's comforting." "It's the truth." She crossed her arms, leaned against the wall. In the red light, she looked tired. More tired than someone her age should look. Running a company did that, he guessed. Running a company you inherited from a man who lied to everyone did that even more. "Emma," Victoria said. Ethan's head snapped up. "What?" "Your daughter. That's who's calling." "How do you—" "I saw her last week. She wandered onto the executive floor. Security brought her to my office." Ethan's chest tightened. "She what?" "She's fine. She was looking for you, got off on the wrong floor." "She knows better than that. She's 6. She knows the rules." Victoria studied him. "She has your eyes." He didn't respond. Didn't know how to. The idea of Emma alone in Victoria's office, surrounded by people in expensive suits who didn't understand why she signed instead of spoke, made him feel sick. "She's beautiful," Victoria added, softer this time. "Smart, too. She showed me a drawing she made, a building. She said you helped her design it." "We build stuff with blocks sometimes." "Blocks. It's what we can afford." The words came out harsher than he meant. Victoria flinched. Good. Let her feel uncomfortable. Let her see what 8 years looked like from the bottom instead of the top. But then her expression shifted. Not anger. Something worse. Pity. "Don't," Ethan said. "Don't what?" "Look at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you feel sorry for me." "Maybe I do. I don't need it. Clearly." The air between them turned sharp. Ethan wanted to punch something, wanted to ask her why she never called, why she never asked, why she just accepted that he'd vanished and moved on like none of it mattered. But he knew the answer. She'd been 22, heartbroken, and convinced he'd chosen his career over her. Marcus had made sure of that. Forged emails, planted evidence, made it look like Ethan had taken a job in another city without telling her. By the time Ethan realized what was happening, the damage was done. And Marcus had made it clear. If Ethan said anything, if he tried to tell Victoria the truth, Marcus would bury him. Ruin his career, make sure he never worked in architecture again. Worse, he'd drag Victoria down with him, tie her name to the scandal, destroy everything she'd worked for. So Ethan had disappeared. Let her hate him. It was easier than watching her suffer because of him. "You're still here," Victoria said again, quieter this time. "In Chicago, after everything. I never left. But you—" "I know what you thought. I know what he told you." Her face changed. "What are you talking about?" Ethan shook his head. "Forget it." "No. What did my father tell me?" "It doesn't matter." "It does to me." "Why? So you can feel better about the last 8 years? So you can tell yourself it wasn't your fault?" "That's not—" "I'm not doing this, Victoria. Not now. Not here." She stared at him. For a second he thought she might push, demand answers. But then something in her expression crumbled and she looked away. The radio crackled. "Ethan, you still there?" He grabbed it. "Yeah. We're rerouting power now. Give us 10 minutes. "Copy." 10 minutes. He could survive 10 minutes. Victoria's phone buzzed again. She ignored it. "You should get that," Ethan said. "It's just my assistant." "Still." "I said I'll call back." Silence settled over them again. Ethan counted the seconds. Tried not to think about Emma's face when he finally got there. Tried not to think about the woman standing 3 feet away who used to be his entire world. "I didn't know about Emma," Victoria said suddenly. "Why would you?" I thought you would have told me if something like that happened. We stopped talking 8 years ago. You made that pretty clear." "You left." No, I was forced out. There's a difference. She turned to him. What does that mean? Ethan met her eyes. In the red emergency light, they looked almost black. Once he'd known every shade of brown in those eyes, every fleck of gold, every expression. Now they were just eyes. A stranger's eyes. Ask your father, he said. My father's retired. Good for him. Ethan, I don't want to do this. I don't want to stand here and explain 8 years of my life to someone who didn't care enough to ask before now. That's not fair. Fair? He laughed. It came out bitter, sharp. You want to talk about fair? I waited for you. I was right here. Then why didn't you take? Because he made it very clear what would happen if I did. The words hung between them. Victoria went very still. Who? She asked. Ethan didn't answer. Didn't need to. He could see the realization moving across her face like a shadow. The elevator jolted. Lights flickered. The motor hummed back to life. They started moving. Slow, steady. 6th floor. 5th. 4th. Victoria didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stared at him like she was seeing him for the first time in 8 years. Maybe she was. 3rd floor. His phone buzzed again. The school. He answered this time. Mr. Cole? Miss Lindholm's voice was strained. Emma's fever is at 103. I really think we should... I'm almost there. 5 minutes. We might need to call an ambulance if... I said, I'm almost there. He hung up. Shoved the phone in his pocket. His hands were shaking. 2nd floor. Victoria was still staring. She needs you, Victoria said. I know. Then go. I am. Ground floor. The doors opened. Cold air rushed in from the lobby, carrying the smell of winter and salt from the sidewalks outside. Ethan grabbed his toolbox and stepped out. Didn't look back. Didn't say goodbye, but he heard her. Ethan. He stopped, turned halfway. Victoria stood in the elevator doorway, one hand holding the door open. Her face was pale, shaken. For the first time since he'd seen her, she looked uncertain. I didn't know, she said. Now you do. He walked away. Atan. Outside, the wind cut through his jacket like glass. Snow had started falling while he was stuck underground, thick and heavy, covering the streets in white. Ethan's truck was parked 2 blocks away. He ran, slipped twice on ice, didn't care. Emma's school was a 15-minute drive in good weather. In this, maybe 20. He made it in 12. The nurse's office smelled like antiseptic and old textbooks. Emma sat on the examination table, wrapped in a blanket, her face flushed and damp. When she saw him, her hands flew up. Daddy, where were you? I'm sorry, baby. I got stuck. I don't feel good. I know. We're going home. Miss Lindholm handed him a thermometer reading and a bottle of children's ibuprofen. Keep her hydrated. If the fever doesn't break by tonight, take her to urgent care. Ethan signed his name on the release form, scooped Emma into his arms. She was heavier than she looked, growing up too fast. He carried her through the hallways, past classrooms where other kids were packing up for the day, past bulletin boards covered in construction paper turkeys and hand-traced leaves. Emma rested her head on his shoulder. Her breath was hot against his neck. Is Mama coming? The question hit him like a fist. Emma's mother, Jenna, had left when Emma was 10 months old. Couldn't handle the diagnosis, couldn't handle the therapy appointments, the hearing aids, the constant adjustments. She'd walked out one morning and never came back. No calls, no emails. Just gone. Like Ethan's life was some kind of pattern, people leaving when things got hard. No, baby. Just me. Emma's fingers tightened on his jacket. Okay. That was the thing about Emma. She never complained, never asked why, just accepted and moved on. At 6 years old, she'd already learned how to carry disappointment like it was normal. Ethan hated that. Their apartment was on the 3rd floor of a rundown building on the south side. The heat barely worked. The neighbors upstairs fought every night. The landlord ignored maintenance requests unless Ethan fixed things himself. But the rent was cheap, and the bus line ran straight to Emma's school, so he stayed. He carried Emma upstairs, unlocked the door with one hand. Inside, the radiator clanked and hissed. The living room was small, couch, coffee table, toy box overflowing with blocks and stuffed animals. The kitchen was smaller. Ethan set Emma on the couch, pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders. "I'm cold," she signed. He checked the radiator. Lukewarm. He grabbed another blanket from the bedroom, wrapped it around her like a cocoon. Then he went to the kitchen, filled a pot with water, set it to boil. Soup. Something warm. Something easy. Emma watched him from the couch. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused. Fever did that, made her look small and fragile in a way that terrified him. The water boiled. Ethan dumped in a packet of chicken noodle soup, the cheap kind that came in bulk from the discount store. Stirred it, poured it into a bowl, let it cool, brought it to Emma with a spoon. "I'm not hungry," she signed. "Just a little. Please." She took 3 bites, grimaced, set the spoon down. "My ears hurt." "I know, baby." He gave her the ibuprofen Miss Lindholm had sent home. Emma swallowed it with water, made a face. Ethan checked her temperature again, still 103. By 8, the fever hadn't broken. By 9, Emma was asleep on the couch, curled into a ball under both blankets. Ethan sat on the floor beside her, one hand resting on her back, feeling the rise and fall of her breathing. His phone buzzed, a text from Clay, his supervisor. "Heard you got stuck in the exec elevator today." "Everything okay?" Ethan typed back. "Fine, just bad timing. You need tomorrow off?" "No, I'll be there. Let me know if that changes." Ethan set the phone down, stared at the ceiling, thought about Victoria's face in the elevator, the way she'd looked at him when he said her father's name. She didn't know. All these years she didn't know. And now she did. He didn't know if that made things better or worse. Emma's fever broke just after midnight. Ethan stayed awake, checking on her every 20 minutes until he was sure. When her forehead finally felt cool under his palm, he let himself exhale, let himself believe she'd be okay. He carried her to her bedroom, tucked her into bed. She stirred, opened her eyes halfway. "Love you, Daddy." "Love you too, baby." She drifted off. Ethan stood there watching her sleep, this small person who trusted him completely, who believed he could fix anything, who didn't know how close they were to losing everything all the time. He thought about the elevator again, about Victoria's voice, about the way she'd said, "I didn't know." Part of him wanted to believe her. Part of him knew it didn't matter. He went back to the living room, collapsed on the couch. His body ached. His head hurt. He needed sleep. But every time he closed his eyes, he saw Victoria's face, heard her voice, felt the weight of 8 years pressing down on him like something too heavy to carry. His phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. He almost didn't open it, but he did. "This is Victoria. I got your number from HR. We need to talk." Ethan stared at the message, typed a response, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. Finally, he wrote, "There's nothing to talk about." He hit send, turned off the phone, lay down on the couch, and stared at the ceiling until the sun came up. Emma's fever came back 2 days later. Ethan was in the basement of Ashford Tower, replacing a burst pipe, when his phone vibrated against his hip. He ignored it. The water was still spraying, soaking through his gloves, turning the concrete floor into a shallow pool. Clay was somewhere upstairs dealing with a broken HVAC unit. The building was falling apart faster than they could fix it. The phone buzzed again, then again. Ethan shut off the water main, peeled off his gloves, checked the screen. 3 missed calls from Emma's school. His stomach dropped. He didn't bother calling back, just grabbed his toolbox and ran. Miss Lindholm met him at the front entrance this time, her face tight with concern. "She's asking for you. Won't let anyone touch her." Emma was in the nurse's office again, sitting on the same examination table, tears streaming down her face. When she saw him, her hands moved so fast he almost couldn't follow. "They don't understand me. I told them my head hurts, but they keep talking, and I can't. Hey, slow down." "I can't hear them when they talk fast." "I know, baby. I'm here now." He turned to Ms. Lindholm. "What happened?" "She got dizzy during recess, hit her head on the pavement, not hard, but with the fever back." "You should have called me sooner." "Mr. Cole, we tried." "Not hard enough." He signed to Emma. "Let me see." She tilted her head, There was a small bump above her right ear, already turning purple. Ethan's hand shook as he checked it. No blood, no swelling beyond the bruise. But combined with the fever, it was enough to scare him. "I'm taking her to urgent care," he said. Miss Lindholm nodded. "I'll get the incident report ready." Ethan carried Emma to the truck. She was crying quietly now, her face buried in his shoulder. He strapped her into the booster seat, checked the bump again. Still no bleeding. That was good. That had to be good. The urgent care clinic was packed. Ethan signed in, sat with Emma in the waiting room while a TV mounted in the corner played some talk show. Nobody was watching. The room smelled like hand sanitizer and stale coffee. A kid across from them was coughing into his mother's sleeve. An older man sat with an ice pack pressed to his knee. Emma leaned against Ethan's side. "How long?" "I don't know. Soon. I'm tired." "I know." They waited 40 minutes. By the time a nurse called Emma's name, Ethan was ready to lose it. He followed them back to an examination room, answered the same questions he'd answered at the school. Yes, she hit her head. No, she didn't lose consciousness. Yes, the fever had come back. No, he didn't know why. The doctor was young, maybe 30, with tired eyes and a stethoscope slung around her neck. She examined Emma gently, asked Ethan more questions, ordered a rapid flu test. It came back negative. "Probably just a virus," the doctor said. "Keep her hydrated. Alternate ibuprofen and acetaminophen for the fever. If it goes above 104 or she starts vomiting, bring her to the ER." Ethan nodded, took the printed instructions, carried Emma back to the truck. At the pharmacy, he stood in line with a prescription for stronger pain medication and a bottle of children's Tylenol. The total came to $63. He paid with the last of his paycheck, watched the numbers drop on his bank app, tried not to think about rent. Emma fell asleep on the drive home. Ethan carried her upstairs, put her to bed, checked her temperature. Still 102. He gave her the medication, pulled the blankets up to her chin, sat on the floor beside her bed. His phone buzzed. Another text from Victoria. "The fourth one this week. I meant what I said. We need to talk." He deleted it without responding. 2 hours later, Emma woke up crying. Her sheets were soaked with sweat. Ethan changed them, changed her pajamas, gave her more medication. She fell back asleep around 9. He didn't. He sat in the living room with the lights off, staring at the wall, thinking about the urgent care bill that would show up in 2 weeks. Thinking about the credit card he'd already maxed out last month when Emma's hearing aid broke. Thinking about how every time he got close to stable, something knocked him back down. His phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Victoria. "Clay, need you tomorrow? Exec floors, full day." Ethan closed his eyes. Emma couldn't go to school like this, which meant he needed someone to watch her. His neighbor, Mrs. Park, usually helped when he was desperate, but she'd just had hip surgery. There was no one else. He texted back, "Can't. Emma's sick." The response came fast. "Bring her. She can hang in the break room." "You serious? Better than calling in. Marcus is visiting tomorrow. Everyone's losing their minds." Ethan stared at the message. Marcus Ashford, the man who'd destroyed his life. The man who'd made sure Ethan and Victoria never found their way back to each other. And now Ethan was supposed to show up and fix the building's problems while Marcus walked around like he still owned the place. He thought about saying no, thought about telling Clay to find someone else. But he needed this job, needed the paycheck, needed the health insurance that barely covered anything but was better than nothing. "Fine. I'll be there." But Emma didn't want to go. She sat on the couch the next morning, still in her pajamas, shaking her head while Ethan tried to explain. "I don't want to go to your work." "I know, baby, but you can't stay here alone." "I'm not a baby." "You're 6. Almost 7. Still too young." She crossed her arms. Her fever had dropped to 100 overnight, which was better, but not good enough for school. Ethan had already called and told them she'd be out for the rest of the week. He knelt in front of her. "Listen, you can bring your tablet. Watch movies, draw, whatever you want. I just need you to stay in the break room and not wander off. Can you do that? What if I get lost?" "You won't. I'll check on you every hour. Promise?" Promise. She didn't look convinced, but she got dressed anyway. Ethan packed her backpack with snacks, juice boxes, her tablet, and the stuffed elephant she'd had since she was a baby. They took the bus downtown. Emma pressed her face against the window, watching the city slide past. Bare trees, gray buildings, people bundled in coats against the wind. Ashford Tower looked different in the daylight, cleaner, more imposing. Ethan signed in at the security desk, clipped his badge to his uniform, led Emma through the back hallways to the employee break room. It was a small space with a microwave, a refrigerator covered in safety notices, and a table surrounded by mismatched chairs. "Stay here," Ethan said out loud, signing as he spoke. "Don't leave unless you need the bathroom. If you do, find me first." Emma nodded. She pulled out her tablet, plugged in her headphones. Ethan checked his radio. "Clay? I'm here. Where do you need me?" 18th floor. Conference room AC is out. Again. "On my way." He looked back at Emma one more time. She was already absorbed in whatever she was watching, her face lit blue by the screen. He hated this, hated bringing her here, hated that he didn't have another option. But he didn't. So he left. The 18th floor was chaos. People in suits rushed past carrying boxes of files, laptops, presentation boards. Someone was yelling into a phone about catering. Someone else was on their knees trying to fix a jammed printer. Clay stood in the middle of it, looking like he wanted to quit. "Thank God you're here," Clay muttered. "Assi's been out since yesterday. Marcus is supposed to be in that conference room in an hour, and it's like a sauna in there." Ethan grabbed his toolbox. "Where's the unit?" "Ceiling access, north side." It took 20 minutes to find the problem, a blown fuse and a clogged filter. Easy fix. Ethan replaced both, tested the airflow, climbed down from the ceiling. The room was already starting to cool. Clay checked his watch. "You're a lifesaver. Can you handle the executive floor next? Victoria's office has a flickering light that's driving everyone insane." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Send someone else." "Everyone else is busy. Come on, man. 10 minutes. In and out." Clay, please. Ethan wanted to say no, wanted to walk away, but Clay looked desperate, and Ethan owed him. Clay had covered for him a dozen times when Emma was sick, when school events ran late, when life got in the way. "Fine, but I'm checking on Emma first." "Deal." Ethan took the stairs down to the break room. Emma was still at the table, tablet in front of her, but she wasn't watching it anymore. She was drawing on a napkin with a pen she must have found in her backpack. When she saw him, she held it up. "Look, it's you." The drawing was rough, stick figure with a toolbox and a big smile. Ethan felt something crack in his chest. "It's perfect," he signed. "Can I keep drawing?" "Yeah, I'll be back soon." She went back to her napkin. Ethan left before she could see his face. The executive floor smelled like expensive carpet and filtered air. Everything up here was polished, pristine, the kind of place where people made decisions that affected thousands of lives without ever getting their hands dirty. Ethan hated it. Victoria's office was at the end of the hall, behind a glass door with her name etched in silver letters. He knocked. No answer. He tried the handle. Unlocked. Inside, the office was massive, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a desk the size of Ethan's kitchen table, bookshelves lined with architectural journals and awards, a sitting area with a leather couch that probably cost more than his truck. The light above the desk was flickering. Ethan set down his toolbox, dragged a chair over, climbed up. The bulb was loose. He tightened it. The flickering stopped. "Thank you." He nearly fell off the chair. Victoria stood in the doorway, holding a coffee cup, watching him. She was wearing a navy suit today, her hair pulled back, expression unreadable. Ethan climbed down. "Didn't know you were here." "It's my office." "Right." He grabbed his toolbox, started toward the door. She didn't move. "Ethan, I'm working." "I know, but I don't have time for this." "I looked into what you said." That stopped him. He turned. "What?" Victoria set her coffee cup on the desk. Her hands were shaking slightly. "About my father. I went through his files, old emails, records he kept locked in his office at the house." Ethan's chest tightened. "You shouldn't have done that." "I needed to know." Why? Because you were right. The words hung in the air. Ethan couldn't breathe. Victoria's face had gone pale. The construction scandal, the housing project, the materials. He knew. He knew the whole time, and he buried it. And when you tried to stop it, her voice cracked. He threatened you, made you sign an NDA, told you if you said anything, he'd destroy both of us. Ethan didn't say anything, couldn't. He forged emails, Victoria continued, made it look like you'd taken a job in Seattle, sent them to me from your account. I thought, she stopped, swallowed. I thought you left without telling me. I thought you didn't care. I cared. Then why didn't you fight back? Because he would have destroyed you too, and I couldn't. Ethan's voice broke. I couldn't let that happen. Victoria stared at him. Tears were running down her face now, but she didn't seem to notice. You let me hate you. Yeah. For 8 years. Yeah. Why? Because it was easier than watching you get hurt because of me. She crossed the room in 3 steps, stopped right in front of him. Up close, he could see the exhaustion in her eyes. The weight she'd been carrying, the cracks in the armor she'd built. I'm sorry, she whispered. You didn't know. I should have known. I should have asked. I should have... Stop. Ethan, I said stop. His radio crackled. Clay's voice. Ethan, you done up there? I need you back on 18. Ethan grabbed the radio. Yeah, on my way. He picked up his toolbox, walked to the door. Victoria didn't try to stop him this time, but as he reached the hallway, he heard her voice. I didn't know you had a daughter. He stopped. Didn't turn around. Emma, Victoria said. That's her name, right? Yeah. She's beautiful. I know. Where is she today? Downstairs, break room. She's sick. There was a long pause. Then, can I meet her? Properly, I mean. Every instinct told Ethan to say no, to keep Emma far away from this building, this woman, this past that wouldn't let him go. But something in Victoria's voice made him hesitate. Why? He asked. Because I want to. That's not a reason. It's the only one I have. Ethan turned, looked at her. She was still crying, still trying to hold herself together and failing. She doesn't need this, he said. She doesn't need you walking into her life and then walking back out when it gets complicated. I wouldn't do that. You did it to me. The words came out harsher than he meant, but he didn't take them back. Victoria flinched like he'd hit her. You're right, she said quietly. I did, and I'm sorry, but I'm not that person anymore. Neither am I. I know. Ethan shifted the toolbox to his other hand. She's been through enough. Her mom left. She barely remembers her. I'm all she has. So if you're doing this because you feel guilty or because you want to fix something that can't be fixed, I'm doing this because I want to know her and because... Victoria's voice caught. Because I missed 8 years of your life and I can't get them back. But maybe I don't have to miss any more. Ethan didn't know what to say to that. The radio crackled again. Ethan, you there? He raised it. Coming. He left without another word. Back on the 18th floor, Clay handed him a wrench and pointed toward a rattling vent. Ethan worked in silence, listening to the sounds of preparation around him, voices, footsteps, the hum of electronics. Somewhere in the building, Marcus Ashford was probably drinking expensive coffee and pretending he'd built an empire on honesty. Ethan tightened the last bolt, tested the vent. The rattling stopped. Perfect, Clay said. You're a machine. Just doing my job. Yeah, well, your job's keeping this place from falling apart. Ethan didn't respond. He packed up his tools, checked the time, almost noon. He needed to check on Emma again. He took the stairs down. His legs ached. His hands hurt. He smelled like dust and machine oil, but that was normal. That was every day. The break room was empty. Ethan's heart stopped. Emma's tablet was still on the table. Her backpack was still on the chair, but she was gone. He grabbed his radio. Clay, did anyone see a little girl leave the break room? What? Emma, she's not here. Check the bathroom. Ethan was already moving. The women's bathroom down the hall was empty. So was the men's. He ran back to the break room, checked under the table, inside the supply closet. Nothing. His hands were shaking now. He pulled out his phone, tried calling her. No answer. She didn't have a phone, just the tablet, and the tablet was still here. He ran to the stairwell, started climbing. If she'd wandered off, she could be anywhere. 6 floors, 18 floors, the basement, the parking garage. By the time he reached the 10th floor, he was out of breath. He burst into the hallway, looked both ways, empty. 11th floor, empty. 12th floor, empty. 13th, he saw her. She was standing outside the executive conference room, staring through the glass wall at something inside. Ethan's relief was so strong it almost knocked him over. He ran to her, dropped to his knees, grabbed her shoulders. "What are you doing up here?" Emma's eyes were wide. "I got lost. I told you to stay in the break room. I went to find the bathroom and I got turned around and then I saw the elevator and I thought..." "You thought what?" "I thought maybe you were up here." Ethan pulled her into a hug, held her tight. His heart was still racing. "You can't do that. You can't just wander off. What if something happened? What if..." "I'm sorry. I know. But you have to listen. You have to stay where I tell you to stay." "Okay." He pulled back, checked her face. She looked tired, pale. The fever was probably coming back. "Let's get you downstairs." But before he could stand, the conference room door opened. Victoria stepped out. She looked at Ethan, then at Emma, then back at Ethan. "Is everything okay?" she asked. Ethan stood, keeping one hand on Emma's shoulder. "She wandered off. We're fine." Victoria glanced at Emma. Her expression softened. "Hi again." Emma stared at her. Then slowly, she signed, "You're the lady from before." Victoria blinked, looked at Ethan. "What did she say?" "She remembers you from last week." "Oh." Victoria crouched down, bringing herself to Emma's level. "I remember you too. You showed me your drawing." Emma nodded. Victoria smiled. It was small, careful. "Do you still like to draw?" Another nod. "What do you draw?" Emma looked at Ethan. He signed what Victoria had said. Emma's hands moved in response. "Buildings, like my dad used to make." Ethan translated. Victoria's smile faltered. "He's very good at that," Victoria said softly. Emma tilted her head. "Are you his friend?" Ethan's throat closed. Victoria hesitated, then, "I used to be." "Why not now?" "That's complicated." "Do you still like him?" Victoria's eyes flicked to Ethan. He couldn't read her expression. "Yeah," she said finally. "I do." Emma seemed to think about that. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out the napkin she'd been drawing on earlier. She handed it to Victoria. "This is for you. It's a building with lots of windows." Victoria took it carefully, like it was something fragile. "It's beautiful." "Thank you." Emma smiled. Ethan's radio crackled. "Clay again." "Ethan, Marcus just showed up. He wants someone to check the heating in his old office. You free?" Ethan closed his eyes. Of course Marcus wanted something. Of course. "I have to go," he said to Victoria. She stood. "I'll walk with you." "You don't have to." "I want to." They took the elevator down in silence. Emma stood between them, holding Ethan's hand. The doors opened on the executive floor. Ethan led Emma back to the break room, made her promise, again, not to leave. Then he turned to Victoria. "You should go back to work." "I'm coming with you." "Why?" "Because I want to see him. I want him to see me seeing him." Ethan studied her face, saw the anger there, the determination. "This isn't a good idea," he said. "I don't care." They walked down the hallway together. Marcus's old office was at the far end, the biggest one on the floor, with windows facing north and west. The door was open. Inside, Marcus stood with his back to them, staring out at the city. He turned when he heard footsteps. Marcus Ashford was 63, tall, gray-haired, with the kind of presence that filled a room. He looked at Ethan first, then at Victoria. His expression didn't change. "Victoria, I didn't expect you." "I didn't expect you either," she said coldly. You're supposed to be retired. I still own 40% of this company. I'm allowed to visit. Visit, not interfere. Marcus's jaw tightened. I'm not interfering. Then why are you here? Because I wanted to see how things were running. They're running fine, better than when you were in charge. The temperature in the room dropped. Ethan stood near the door, toolbox in hand, wishing he were anywhere else. Marcus's eyes shifted to him. You're the maintenance man. Yeah. The heating's fine. I don't know why they sent you. Clay said, Clay was wrong. You can go. Ethan didn't move. Something in Marcus's tone made his skin crawl. Victoria stepped forward. He's not going anywhere. You wanted someone to check the heating. He's checking it. Victoria, don't. Her voice was ice. Don't pretend you're still running things. You're not. You lost that right. Marcus stared at her. For a second, something like hurt crossed his face. Then it was gone. I did what I had to do, he said quietly. You destroyed people's lives. I protected this company. You protected yourself. That's not fair. Fair? Victoria laughed. It was a bitter sound. You want to talk about fair? You lied to me for 8 years. You made me believe someone I loved abandoned me. You ruined his career, his reputation, his life, and you did it to cover up your own mistakes. Marcus's face darkened. You don't understand what was at stake. I understand perfectly. You cared more about your image than about doing the right thing, and when someone tried to stop you, you buried him. Marcus looked at Ethan, really looked at him this time. Recognition flickered in his eyes. You, he said. Ethan met his gaze, didn't flinch. You're the architect, Marcus continued, the one who tried to blow the whistle. Yeah. You signed an NDA. I did. Then you should have stayed gone. I never left. Marcus's expression hardened. You should have. Victoria moved between them. Get out. Excuse me? You heard me. Get out. This is my company now. You don't get to come in here and threaten people. You don't get to pretend you're still in control. Victoria, you're being unreasonable. I'm being clear. Leave. Now. Or I'll have security escort you out. Father and daughter stared at each other. The silence stretched. Ethan could hear his own heartbeat. Finally, Marcus looked away. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is. He walked past them without another word. His footsteps echoed down the hallway. The elevator dinged, doors closed. He was gone. Victoria stood very still, her shoulders rising and falling with each breath. When she turned to Ethan, her eyes were wet. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? For him, for everything. Ethan didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. They stood there in Marcus's old office, surrounded by windows that looked out over a city full of people who had no idea what had just happened. After a moment, Victoria wiped her eyes and straightened her suit jacket. I meant what I said earlier, she said, about wanting to know Emma. I know. Will you let me? Ethan thought about it. Thought about the risks, the complications, the ways this could all fall apart. But he also thought about Emma's face when Victoria smiled at her, the way she'd handed over that drawing without hesitation. She gets to decide, he said. Not me, not you. If she wants you around, then fine, but if she doesn't, then I'll leave, I promise. Okay. Victoria's face softened. Okay. Ethan picked up his toolbox. I need to get back to work. Right, of course. He walked to the door, stopped, looked back. Victoria? Yeah? Thank you for standing up to him. She smiled. It was small and sad and real. I should have done it 8 years ago. Ethan left work early that day. Emma's fever had climbed back to 102 and she'd fallen asleep on the break room couch, curled up with her elephant clutched to her chest. He carried her to the truck, drove home through rush hour traffic that barely moved, and got her inside before she woke up. She stirred when he laid her on her bed. Are we home? Yeah, baby, we're home. I don't feel good. I know, just rest. She closed her eyes again. Ethan pulled the blanket over her, checked her forehead. Hot, too hot. He gave her more medication, filled a cup with water, left it on her nightstand. His phone buzzed as he walked back to the living room. Victoria, can I come by tomorrow? I'd like to see Emma, if that's okay. He stared at the message for a long time. Part of him wanted to say no, wanted to keep his life separate from hers. But another part, the part that remembered who she used to be, wanted to believe she meant what she'd said. He typed back, "She's been sick. Maybe wait until she's better." The response came immediately. "I can bring soup or medicine, whatever she needs." "We're fine." "Ethan, I said we're fine." There was a pause, then, "Okay, let me know when she's feeling better." He didn't respond, just set the phone down and went to check on Emma again. Over the next 3 days, Victoria texted him 6 more times. Short messages, nothing pushy, just asking how Emma was doing, if they needed anything, if there was a better time to visit. Ethan ignored most of them, answered 1 or 2 with single words. Fine, no, busy. Emma's fever finally broke on Thursday. By Friday, she was back to herself, drawing, building block towers, asking Ethan endless questions he had to sign answers to. Saturday morning, she woke him up at 6 by jumping on his bed. "Can we go to the park?" Ethan groaned. "It's freezing outside. Please? I've been inside forever." "It's been 4 days." "That's forever." He couldn't argue with that logic. So he got up, made her breakfast, bundled her in layers, and took her to the park 3 blocks from their apartment. The playground was empty except for one other kid, a boy around Emma's age, bundled in a bright red coat, climbing the jungle gym. Emma ran straight for the swings. Ethan pushed her, watched her hair fly back with each arc, listened to her laugh. When she got tired of the swings, she moved to the sandbox. Ethan sat on a bench nearby, hands shoved in his pockets, watching her dig with a plastic shovel someone had left behind. His phone buzzed. Victoria again. "Is she feeling better?" He should have ignored it, should have put the phone away. But something made him answer. "Yeah. We're at the park." "Which one?" Ethan hesitated. Then, "Monroe Street. I'm 10 minutes away. Can I meet you there?" He looked at Emma. She was building something in the sand, completely absorbed. If Victoria showed up and Emma didn't want her around, Ethan could just leave. Take Emma home. End it before it started. Fine. 12 minutes later, Victoria appeared at the edge of the park. She was wearing jeans and a long coat, her hair down for once, hands tucked into her pockets. She looked younger like this, less like a CEO, more like the woman he used to know. Emma saw her first. She stood up from the sandbox, sand falling from her gloves, and waved. Victoria waved back. Ethan stayed on the bench, watching as Victoria walked over to Emma. They stood there for a moment, Emma signing something, Victoria clearly not understanding. Emma pointed at Ethan. He got up, walked over. "She's asking if you want to help her build," he said. Victoria looked at Emma. "I'd love to." Emma grinned. She handed Victoria a plastic bucket and pointed at the sand. Victoria knelt down, following Emma's lead. Ethan stood off to the side, watching them work. Emma was patient, showing Victoria how to pack the sand tight, how to flip the bucket just right. Victoria's first attempt collapsed. Emma giggled. Her second attempt was better. By the third, they had a decent castle going. Ethan sat back down on the bench, pulled out his phone, pretended he wasn't watching every move. After 20 minutes, Emma ran over to him. "Can she come to our house?" "What?" "I want to show her my drawings." Ethan glanced at Victoria, who was still kneeling in the sandbox, brushing sand off her jeans. I don't think..." "Please?" "Our apartment's small." "I don't care." "And messy." "So?" He sighed, looked at Emma's face. She was excited in a way he hadn't seen in months, maybe longer. "Let me ask her," he signed. He walked over to Victoria. "Emma wants to know if you want to come see her drawings, at our place." Victoria looked up. "Really?" "She's 6. She changes her mind fast, so if you say yes, don't, I'd love to. It's not like your office, it's small, and the heat doesn't work great, and Ethan." She stood up, brushed off her knees. "I don't care." "Okay." They walked back to the apartment together. Emma ran ahead, occasionally turning back to make sure they were following. Victoria walked beside Ethan, neither of them speaking. The silence wasn't comfortable, but it wasn't hostile either, just 2 people trying to figure out how to exist in the same space. When they reached the building, Ethan unlocked the front door, led them upstairs. The hallway smelled like someone's cooking, something with garlic and onions. The stairs creaked under their feet. At the third-floor landing, Ethan stopped in front of his door. "Last chance to change your mind," he said. Victoria smiled. "Open the door, Ethan." He did. Inside, the apartment looked exactly like what it was, a place where someone was barely keeping things together. Toys scattered across the floor, dishes in the sink, a pile of laundry on the couch Ethan had been meaning to fold for 3 days. He started grabbing things, shoving them into corners. "Stop," Victoria said. "It's a mess." "I don't care." Emma was already in her room, pulling out her box of drawings. She dumped it on the living room floor, spread them out like a gallery. Buildings, mostly. Tall ones, short ones, some with windows, some with doors, all of them crooked and beautiful. Victoria knelt down, picked one up carefully. "Did you draw all of these?" Emma nodded. "They're amazing." Emma beamed. She started explaining each one, signing fast, looking at Ethan every few seconds to translate. This one was a house for cats. That one was a skyscraper with a slide instead of an elevator. This one was a library made entirely of glass. Victoria listened to every word, asked questions, pointed at details. And slowly, Ethan felt something shift in the room. Something he couldn't name but could feel. After an hour, Emma's energy started to fade. She yawned, rubbed her eyes. Ethan checked the time. Almost noon. "You hungry?" he asked Emma. She nodded. He looked at Victoria. "You want to stay for lunch? It's nothing fancy, just sandwiches." Victoria hesitated. Then, "If that's okay." Wouldn't have asked if it wasn't. He went to the kitchen, pulled out bread, peanut butter, jelly, made 3 sandwiches, cut Emma's into triangles the way she liked, brought them to the table. Emma climbed into her chair, started eating. Victoria sat across from her, sandwich untouched. "You okay?" Ethan asked. "Yeah, just..." She looked around the apartment. "I keep thinking about what it must have been like. The last 8 years. You and Emma, doing this alone." "We managed." "You shouldn't have had to." Ethan took a bite of his sandwich, didn't respond. Emma looked between them. "Why are you sad?" Victoria blinked. "What did she say?" "She wants to know why you look sad." Victoria's eyes filled. She signed something clumsy, unpracticed. Emma frowned. "That's not right," Ethan said. "What did I say?" "You told her you're a banana." Victoria laughed. It came out wet, choked. "I'm trying. I know." Emma reached across the table, patted Victoria's hand. Then she went back to her sandwich like nothing had happened. They ate in silence. When they finished, Emma asked if she could watch a movie. Ethan set her up on the couch with her tablet and headphones. Then he walked Victoria to the door. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For letting me in." "Emma let you in, not me." "Still." Ethan leaned against the doorframe. "Why are you really doing this?" "I told you." "I know what you told me, but I need to know it's real, because if you're just here because you feel guilty or because you want to fix something that can't be fixed, then you need to leave now, before she gets attached." Victoria met his eyes. "I'm here because I want to know her, and because I want to know you again, the real you, not the version I made up in my head for the last 8 years." "That person doesn't exist anymore." "I know, but maybe the person you are now is someone I want to know too." Ethan didn't know what to say to that. Victoria reached out, touched his arm lightly. "I'm not going anywhere, Ethan. Not unless you tell me to." "And if I do?" "Then I'll go. But I'm hoping you won't." She left before he could respond. Ethan closed the door, leaned against it. Emma was still on the couch, absorbed in her movie. He watched her for a long time, trying to figure out what he was feeling. Relief. Fear. Hope. All of it tangled together in a knot he couldn't untie. His phone buzzed. "Victoria. Thank you for today." He stared at the message, then typed, "She liked having you here. What about you?" He paused. Deleted 3 different responses. Finally settled on, "It wasn't terrible. High praise, don't push it. Wouldn't dream of it." Ethan almost smiled. Almost. Over the next 2 weeks, Victoria became a regular presence in their lives. She'd stop by after work sometimes, bringing takeout or groceries. She'd sit on the floor with Emma, helping her build block towers or color in coloring books. She'd ask Ethan about his day, about Emma's school, about nothing in particular. And slowly, so slowly Ethan almost didn't notice, the apartment started to feel less empty. One evening, Victoria showed up with a bag from the bookstore. Inside were 3 children's books about sign language. "I want to learn," she said, "properly, so I don't keep telling Emma I'm a banana." Emma thought that was hilarious. She made Victoria practice the alphabet over and over until Victoria could sign her name without messing up. Then she taught her basic words. Hello, thank you, sorry, love. Ethan watched from the kitchen, pretending to do dishes, trying to ignore the way his chest felt tight. That night, after Victoria left and Emma was asleep, Ethan sat on the couch with his laptop. He hadn't looked himself up in years, hadn't wanted to see what people said about him. But tonight, curiosity got the better of him. He typed his name into the search bar. The results were what he expected: articles about the construction scandal. His name buried in the middle of paragraphs mentioned as someone who'd resigned quietly. No details, no explanation, just gone. He clicked on one article, then another. Read through accusations he'd never defended himself against. Read through speculation about why he'd left. Some people thought he'd been paid off. Others thought he'd been complicit. Nobody knew the truth. He closed the laptop, stared at the ceiling, thought about Marcus Ashford, sitting in some expensive house somewhere, living off the fortune he'd built on lies. His phone buzzed. Victoria. You awake? Yeah, can I call you? He hesitated. Then, okay. The call came through a second later. He answered. Hi, Victoria said. Her voice sounded different over the phone, softer. Hi. I couldn't sleep. Join the club. There was a pause. Then, I've been thinking about what you said. About my father forcing you out, and She stopped. I found something. In his files. Ethan sat up. What? Proof. Emails between him and the contractor. Documents showing he approved the low-quality materials. Everything you tried to expose 8 years ago. Victoria, I want to release it. Publicly. Clear your name. Show people what really happened. Don't. Why not? Because it won't change anything. It's been 8 years. People have moved on. And if you release that, you'll just drag yourself into it. Your company. Everything you've built. I don't care. You should. Why? So I can keep protecting him? Keep pretending he didn't ruin lives? Ethan ran a hand through his hair. I'm not saying protect him. I'm saying protect yourself. I'm tired of protecting myself. I'm tired of living inside his lies. Then don't. But don't blow up your life to fix mine. What if I want to? Then I'm telling you not to. She was quiet for a long time. Ethan could hear her breathing on the other end. What if it's not just about you? She said finally. What if it's about all the people who lived in those buildings, the families who trusted us to keep them safe? Ethan closed his eyes. Those buildings were fixed. After I left, Marcus had them torn down and rebuilt. Nobody got hurt. Because you made sure they didn't. I didn't do anything. You tried. You risked everything to try, and he punished you for it. That's how the world works, Victoria. Good people get buried, bad people get rich, and nothing we do now is going to change that. I don't believe that. You should. Another long pause. I'm releasing it, Victoria said. I've already made up my mind. I just wanted you to know first. Victoria, I'll make sure your name is cleared, completely. I'll make sure everyone knows you were the one who tried to stop it. I don't want that. Too bad. This is a mistake. Maybe, but it's mine to make. She hung up before he could argue. Ethan stared at his phone, thought about calling her back, thought about showing up at her apartment and talking her out of it. But he knew Victoria. Once she decided something, there was no changing her mind. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Emma asked why he looked tired. He signed that he'd stayed up too late. She frowned, told him he needed to sleep more. He promised he would. At work, Clay pulled him aside. You hear about the press conference? Ethan's stomach dropped. What press conference? Victoria called one for this afternoon. Something about company records, past projects. Everyone's freaking out. Ethan didn't respond, just grabbed his toolbox and went to find somewhere quiet to work. The press conference happened at 2. Ethan didn't watch it, didn't need to. He already knew what she was going to say. By 3, his phone was blowing up. Texts from people he hadn't spoken to in years. Emails from journalists asking for comments. A voicemail from someone claiming to be a lawyer. He ignored all of it. At 4, Clay found him in the basement. You need to see this. He pulled up a news article on his phone. The headline read, Ashford Development CEO exposes father's construction scandal, clears former employee's name. Below it was a photo of Victoria standing at a podium surrounded by microphones. Ethan read the article. Every word. It laid out everything. The scandal, the cover-up, Marcus's threats, the forged emails, Ethan's attempts to stop it, his forced resignation. At the bottom, there was a quote from Victoria. Ethan Cole is one of the most honest people I've ever known. He tried to do the right thing, and my father destroyed his career because of it. I'm here today to set the record straight and to make sure something like this never happens again. Ethan handed the phone back to Clay. Didn't say anything. You okay? Clay asked. I don't know. That night, Ethan sat Emma down and tried to explain what was happening. It was hard. She was 6. She didn't understand corporate scandals or press conferences or why people on TV were talking about her dad. Are you in trouble? She asked. No, baby. The opposite. Then why do you look sad? Because sometimes the truth is complicated. She didn't look convinced, but she hugged him anyway. After she went to bed, Ethan sat on the couch with his phone. Victoria had texted him 14 times. He read through them. Apologies, explanations, promises that she'd handle the fallout. He finally responded, You shouldn't have done that. Her reply came instantly. I had to. Why? Because you deserved better, and because I couldn't live with the lie anymore. What about your company? It'll survive, or it won't. Either way, I did the right thing. Ethan stared at the message. Part of him was angry. Part of him was grateful. Most of him just felt exhausted. I need time to think, he typed. I understand. Don't contact me for a while. There was a long pause before her response came through. Okay. He turned off his phone, sat in the dark, listened to the radiator clank and the neighbors upstairs argue and the sound of Emma breathing in the next room. And for the first time in 8 years, he let himself cry. The next morning, Ethan woke up to 57 missed calls. He deleted all of them without listening, made Emma breakfast, got her ready for school, dropped her off, went to work. Clay met him at the door. Marcus is here. Ethan stopped. What? Showed up an hour ago, demanding to see Victoria. Security won't let him past the lobby. Good. He's asking for you too. Tell him I'm busy. Ethan, I said I'm busy. But Marcus found him anyway. Cornered him in the stairwell between the 2nd and 3rd floors. He looked older than he had 2 weeks ago. Tired. Angry. This is your fault, Marcus said. Ethan set down his toolbox. Is it? You should have stayed gone. Should have kept your mouth shut. I didn't say anything. Victoria did. Because you put ideas in her head. I told her the truth, that's all. Marcus stepped closer. You've ruined everything. My reputation, my company, my relationship with my daughter. You did that yourself. I was protecting her. No. You were protecting yourself. There's a difference. Marcus's face twisted. You don't know what it's like. Building something from nothing, making the hard choices, getting your hands dirty so everyone else can stay clean. You're right, I don't, because I never had to lie to do my job. You think you're better than me? I think I sleep better at night. Marcus laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. You sleep in a rundown apartment on the south side. You work as a maintenance man. You barely make enough to support your daughter. And you think that's better? Yeah, I do. You're a fool. Maybe. But at least I'm not you. Marcus stared at him. For a moment, something like regret crossed his face. Then it was gone. Stay away from my daughter, he said. That's her choice, not yours. I'm warning you, you don't scare me anymore. Marcus looked like he wanted to say something else, but he didn't. Just turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing down the stairwell. Ethan picked up his toolbox. His hands were shaking, but not from fear, from relief. Because for the first time in 8 years, Marcus Ashford had no power over him. That evening, Ethan picked up Emma from school and took her to get ice cream. They sat in a booth by the window, watching people walk past bundled in coats and scarves. Emma ordered chocolate with sprinkles. Ethan got vanilla. "Can Victoria come over tonight?" Emma asked. "She's busy, baby." "She's always busy." "I know." "Don't you like her anymore?" Ethan looked at his daughter, at her bright eyes and hopeful face. "It's complicated. That's what grown-ups always say when they don't want to explain. She wasn't wrong. I like her," Ethan admitted, "but liking someone doesn't mean it's easy." "Why not?" "Because people are messy, and sometimes they hurt each other even when they don't mean to." Emma thought about that. Then, "Did she hurt you?" "A long time ago." "On purpose?" "No." "Then you should forgive her." "It's not that simple." "Why not?" Ethan didn't have an answer for that. They finished their ice cream in silence. On the way home, Emma fell asleep in her booster seat. Ethan carried her upstairs, tucked her into bed. Then he sat on the couch and pulled out his phone. He stared at Victoria's name in his contacts for a long time. Finally, he typed, "Thank you for what you did. I mean it." Her response came 10 minutes later. "You're welcome." Then after a pause, "Can I see you?" Ethan closed his eyes. "Not yet." "When?" "I don't know." "Okay, I'll wait." He set the phone down, leaned back against the couch, and for the first time since the elevator, he let himself imagine what it might look like if he stopped running from the past and started building something new. 2 weeks passed before Ethan saw Victoria again. It wasn't intentional. He'd been working double shifts to cover for another guy on medical leave, coming home exhausted, collapsing on the couch while Emma did her homework at the kitchen table. The news cycle had moved on from the Ashford scandal. People stopped calling. The emails slowed. Life returned to something close to normal. Except it wasn't normal, because Emma kept asking about Victoria. "When is she coming back? Can we visit her? Did I do something wrong?" That last one hit Ethan hard. He sat Emma down one evening after dinner and tried to explain. "You didn't do anything wrong." "Then why isn't she here?" "Because grown-ups need space sometimes to think." "About what?" "About complicated things." Emma frowned. "I miss her." Ethan felt something crack inside his chest. "I know, baby. Do you miss her too?" He didn't answer, didn't know how to. The next morning, Ethan got to work early. The building was quiet, most offices still dark. He was checking the boiler in the basement when his radio crackled. "Ethan, you down there?" Clay's voice. "Yeah." "Need you on the executive floor, Victoria's office. Water leak." Ethan's stomach tightened. "Can't someone else?" "Everyone else is dealing with the flooding on 12. You're it." He closed his eyes. "Copy." The elevator ride up felt longer than it should have. When the doors opened, he could hear water running. He followed the sound to Victoria's office. The door was open. Inside, water was pouring from a ceiling panel, pooling on the expensive carpet, soaking into the furniture. Victoria stood in the middle of it, phone pressed to her ear, trying to move files off her desk before they got ruined. She saw him. Stopped mid-sentence. "I'll call you back." Ethan set down his toolbox, moved a chair under the leak, climbed up. The pipe had cracked clean through. He shut off the water valve, climbed back down. "How bad?" Victoria asked. "Could be worse. I'll need to replace the section. 20 minutes. "Okay." They stood there, water dripping between them, neither moving. "I'll get a bucket," Ethan said finally. "There's one in the supply closet down the hall." He left, found the bucket, came back, set it under the drip, started pulling tools from his kit. Victoria watched him work, arms crossed, soaked through from trying to save her files. "You're here early," she said. Could say the same. "Couldn't sleep." Ethan cut through the damaged pipe section. "Join the club." "Ethan." Let me finish this first. She went quiet. He worked in silence, replacing the pipe, tightening connections, testing for leaks. When he was satisfied, he climbed down, packed up his tools. Should be fine now, he said. But you'll want to get someone to check the ceiling, make sure there's no structural damage. I will, thank you. He picked up his toolbox, started toward the door. Ethan, wait. He stopped, didn't turn around. I know you said you needed time, Victoria said, and I'm trying to give you that. But Emma's been asking about me, and Her voice caught. I don't want her to think I abandoned her. Ethan turned. Victoria looked smaller somehow, tired. Her hair was pulled back messily, dark circles under her eyes. She doesn't think that, he said. Are you sure? Yeah. Then why does she keep texting me? Ethan blinked. What? Victoria pulled out her phone, showed him the screen. Messages from an unknown number. Short, simple. Written like a 6-year-old would write. Hi, it's Emma. When are you coming back? I miss you. Did I make you mad? Ethan's throat closed. How did she get your number? I gave it to her the last time I was at your apartment. I don't know what I thought. That maybe she'd want to call sometime. She doesn't have a phone. She's using yours when you're asleep. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. I didn't know. I figured. Victoria looked at the messages. I've been responding, trying to explain that I'm not mad, that I just need to give her dad some space, but I don't think she understands. She's 6. She doesn't understand complicated. I know. They stood in silence. Water dripped into the bucket. Somewhere down the hall, a phone rang. I should have told you sooner, Victoria said. About the texts, I didn't want to make things harder. You should have. I know. Ethan set down his toolbox, walked to the window, looked out at the city waking up below them. She asked me last night if she did something wrong, if that's why you stopped coming around. Victoria's face crumpled. I would never... I know, but she doesn't. She's 6 years old, and the only mother figure she's ever known walked out on her when she was a baby. So when people disappear from her life, she thinks it's her fault. I wasn't trying to disappear. I know that too, but she doesn't. Victoria crossed the room, stood beside him at the window. What do you want me to do? I don't know. Do you want me to leave completely? Because I will. If that's what's best for Emma, that's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Ethan turned to face her. I'm saying I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to let you back into my life without risking her getting hurt. Because if you get tired of playing house, if you decide this is too hard or too complicated or not what you signed up for, she's the one who pays for it. I'm not going anywhere. You say that now. I mean it. People always mean it until they don't. Victoria's eyes filled. I'm not her mother, Ethan. I'm not Jenna. I'm not going to wake up one day and decide I can't handle it. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because I've had 2 weeks to walk away and I haven't. I've spent every night wondering if Emma's okay. If you're okay, staring at my phone hoping you'd text. I could have moved on. I could have let this go. But I didn't, because I don't want to. Ethan wanted to believe her. Wanted it so badly it hurt. I need you to promise me something, he said. Anything. If you're going to be in her life, in our lives, you have to mean it. You can't show up when it's convenient and disappear when it's not. She needs stability, consistency, not someone who's here one day and gone the next. I promise. I'm serious, Victoria. So am I. She stepped closer. I know I can't undo the last 8 years. I know I can't fix what my father broke. But I can be here now, if you'll let me. Ethan looked at her, really looked, saw the exhaustion, the hope, the fear. Emma wants you to come to her birthday party, he said quietly. Victoria blinked. What? Next Saturday. She's turning 7. It's just going to be us and maybe Mrs. Park from downstairs. Nothing fancy, but she's been asking if you'll be there. I'd love to. You sure? It's going to be pizza and a grocery store cake and a tiny apartment. I don't care. Okay, Victoria smiled. It was small and real, and it made her look like the person he used to know. Okay. Ethan picked up his toolbox. I should get back to work. Right. Of course. He walked to the door, stopped, looked back. Victoria? Yeah? Thank you for the texts, for answering her. Always. He left before he could say anything else. The rest of the week crawled by. Emma talked nonstop about her birthday party, what kind of pizza they'd get, what flavor cake, whether they should play games or watch a movie. She made a list of decorations she wanted: balloons, streamers, a banner that said, "Happy Birthday." Ethan bought what he could afford: streamers from the dollar store, a pack of balloons, a cake mix because the bakery was too expensive. Emma didn't seem to mind. She helped him blow up balloons until they were both dizzy, helped tape streamers to the walls until the apartment looked like a rainbow had exploded inside it. Saturday morning, Emma woke up at 6. She jumped on Ethan's bed, signing so fast he could barely follow. "I'm 7. I'm 7. I know, baby. Happy birthday. Is Victoria coming?" She said she would. What time? Not till this afternoon. Go back to sleep. I can't sleep. I'm too excited. Ethan groaned. Then go be excited quietly. She giggled, ran to her room. Ethan heard her rummaging through her closet, probably trying to decide what to wear. By noon, the apartment was ready. Pizza was ordered. Cake was made. Lopsided, but edible. Mrs. Park had promised to come by at 2. Victoria had texted that morning saying she'd be there at 3. Emma changed her outfit 4 times. Finally settled on a blue dress with flowers that she'd gotten for Christmas. She made Ethan help her with her hair, pulling it into 2 braids that came out uneven, but she loved anyway. Mrs. Park arrived first, carrying a wrapped present and a plate of homemade cookies. She hugged Emma, told her she was getting so big, settled into the chair by the window. Victoria showed up 10 minutes later. She knocked softly. Ethan opened the door. She was holding a gift bag and wearing jeans and a sweater, her hair down. She looked nervous. "Hi," she said. "Hi." Emma appeared behind Ethan. When she saw Victoria, her whole face lit up. She pushed past Ethan and threw her arms around Victoria's waist. Victoria dropped to her knees, hugged Emma tight. Over Emma's shoulder, Ethan saw tears in Victoria's eyes. "I missed you," Emma signed when she pulled back. "I missed you too," Victoria said out loud. Then, slowly, carefully, she signed it. "I missed you." Emma beamed. "You're learning. I'm trying." They moved into the living room. Mrs. Park greeted Victoria warmly, asking about the company, the press conference, how she was holding up. Victoria answered politely, but her eyes kept drifting to Emma. They ate pizza on paper plates, played a game where you had to guess the drawing. Emma drew a cat that looked like a blob. Victoria drew a house that was somehow worse. They sang Happy Birthday while Emma blew out 7 candles on a cake that Ethan had tried to frost but mostly failed. Emma opened her presents. From Mrs. Park, a new box of crayons and a coloring book. From Ethan, a set of building blocks he'd found on clearance. From Victoria, a tablet case with a strap so Emma could carry it easier, and a children's book about a girl who built a treehouse. Emma hugged each of them, signed thank you over and over. As the afternoon wore on, Mrs. Park excused herself, saying her hip was bothering her. She hugged Emma goodbye, patted Ethan's shoulder, smiled at Victoria on her way out. Emma took her new blocks to her room, leaving Ethan and Victoria alone in the living room. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, the space between them feeling enormous. "She's happy," Victoria said. "Yeah. You did good." "I'm just trying not to screw it up." Victoria turned to him. "You're not screwing it up. You're an amazing father." "I'm doing the best I can." "That's more than most people." They sat in silence. From Emma's room came the sound of blocks clicking together. "Can I ask you something?" Victoria said. "Depends." "Her mother, Jenna. Do you ever hear from her?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "No." "Does Emma ask about her?" "Sometimes, not as much anymore." "What do you tell her?" "The truth. That her mom couldn't handle being a parent, that she left, that it wasn't Emma's fault." "Does she believe you?" "I don't know. I hope so." Victoria looked at her hands. "I can't imagine walking away from her, from either of you. Most people can't, until they do." "I won't." "You keep saying that, because I keep meaning it." Ethan wanted to argue, wanted to put up walls, but he was tired of fighting, tired of being afraid. Okay, he said. Okay. I believe you. Victoria's eyes widened. Really? Don't make me regret it. She laughed. It was soft, almost fragile. I won't, I promise. Emma appeared in the doorway, holding something. She walked over to Victoria, climbed onto the couch beside her. I made you something, she signed. Victoria looked at Ethan. He translated. Emma handed Victoria a drawing. It was the three of them, stick figures holding hands. Above them, she'd written in crayon, My Family. Victoria's face crumpled. She pulled Emma into a hug, holding her tight while tears streamed down her face. Ethan looked away, swallowed hard. When Victoria finally let go, she signed to Emma, Thank you. I love it. Emma grinned. Can you stay for dinner? Victoria looked at Ethan. He nodded. I'd love to, Victoria said. They ordered Chinese food because Ethan was too tired to cook, ate it straight from the containers while sitting on the floor. Emma fell asleep on the couch halfway through a movie, her head in Victoria's lap. Victoria stroked Emma's hair gently, careful not to wake her. I should probably go, she whispered. You don't have to. It's late. Stay. The word came out before Ethan could stop it. Victoria looked at him. Are you sure? Yeah. She settled back into the couch. Ethan grabbed a blanket, spread it over Emma. Then he sat beside Victoria, leaving a careful distance between them. They watched the rest of the movie in silence. When it ended, Ethan carried Emma to her bed, tucked her in, kissed her forehead. When he came back to the living room, Victoria was standing by the window, looking out at the city lights. Thank you for today, she said, for letting me be here. Emma wanted you here. What about you? Ethan crossed the room, stood beside her. I wanted you here too. Victoria turned. They were standing close now, close enough that Ethan could see the flecks of gold in her eyes, close enough to remember what it felt like 8 years ago when standing this close meant something. I'm sorry, Victoria said, for everything, for believing the lies, for not fighting harder, for letting you go. I let you go too. We were both trying to protect each other. Didn't work out great. No, it didn't. Ethan reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Victoria's breath caught. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. How to trust again. How to let someone in. We'll figure it out. What if we can't? Then we'll try anyway. He almost kissed her, almost closed the distance, but something held him back. Fear, caution, the weight of 8 years. Victoria saw it in his face. She stepped back, giving him space. I should go, she said softly. Victoria, it's okay, really. She grabbed her coat. Thank you for today, for letting me be part of it. Ethan walked her to the door. She paused in the hallway, looked back. Can I come by this week? Spend time with Emma? Yeah, she'd like that. What about you? He met her eyes. I'd like that too. She smiled. Okay. She left. Ethan closed the door, leaned against it. Felt something shift inside him, something that had been locked tight for 8 years starting to open. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm. Victoria would stop by after work 2 or 3 times a week. Sometimes she'd bring dinner. Sometimes they'd cook together, badly, with Emma laughing at their mistakes. She started teaching Emma more sign language, started learning herself from videos and books. Ethan watched them together, watched Victoria on the floor building block towers, watched her help Emma with homework, watched her braid Emma's hair, crooked at first, then better with practice. And slowly, the walls he'd built started coming down. One evening, after Emma had gone to bed, Victoria and Ethan sat on the couch with mugs of tea. I talked to the board today, Victoria said, about starting a new division, affordable housing, built right, safe materials, fair pricing. Ethan looked at her. Seriously? I want to do it right this time. No cutting corners, no lies. She paused. I want you to help. Victoria, I know you haven't worked as an architect in 8 years, but you could. You should. You're good at it. Better than most people I know. I don't have a license anymore. You could get it back? That takes time. Money. I'll pay for it. The company will sponsor you. Ethan shook his head. I can't accept that. Why not? Because it feels like charity. It's not charity. It's giving you back what should have been yours all along. She set down her mug. You tried to do the right thing and you got punished for it. Let me fix that. You can't fix 8 years. No, but I can try to make the next 8 better. Ethan stared into his tea, thought about drawing plans again, creating buildings, making something that mattered. I'll think about it, he said. That's all I'm asking. 2 days later, Ethan found an envelope on his doorstep. Inside was information about architecture license renewal, study materials, practice exams, and a note in Victoria's handwriting. No pressure, just options. He kept the envelope. A week after that, Victoria showed up at his apartment with her laptop. I need your opinion on something, she said. She pulled up building plans. Designs for a housing complex, 3 buildings, 60 units, community space, playground. What do you think? She asked. Ethan studied the plans, saw immediately what was wrong. The support beams are too far apart. You'll have structural issues. Where? He pointed, started explaining, got lost in the details. Didn't realize he'd have been talking for 20 minutes until Victoria started laughing. What? He asked. I forgot what you sound like when you talk about this stuff. You light up. Ethan felt his face heat. It's just buildings. It's not. It's what you love. He looked at the plans again, at the mistakes, at the potential. Can I mark these up? He asked. Please. He grabbed a pen, started sketching corrections. Better support, better flow, better use of space. Victoria watched over his shoulder, asking questions, taking notes. When he finished, she looked at him. Come work with me. Victoria, I'm serious. We could do this together. Build something real, something that actually helps people. I haven't designed anything in 8 years. Doesn't matter. You still know what you're doing. I'm a maintenance guy. You're an architect who's been doing maintenance. There's a difference. Ethan set down the pen. I need to think about it. I know, but think fast. Because I'm putting together a team next month and I want you on it. She left him with the marked up plans. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about buildings, about designs, about the feeling of creating something that would last. Emma found him at the kitchen table at 2 a.m, sketching on the back of an envelope. Why are you awake? She signed. Couldn't sleep. Why are you? I heard you moving around. She climbed into his lap, looked at his sketch. What is it? Just an idea. For what? A building, maybe. Are you going to build it? He looked at his daughter, at her sleepy eyes and messy hair, and absolute faith that he could do anything. Maybe, he said. She hugged him. I think you should. 3 days later, Ethan called Victoria. Okay, he said. Okay, what? I'll do it. The housing project, the team, all of it. There was a long pause, then, really? Yeah, but I have conditions. Name them. I keep my maintenance job until I get my license back. I need the insurance and the stability. Done. I work part-time until Emma's school schedule settles. I can't miss her stuff. Of course. And if this doesn't work out, if I can't do this anymore, I walk away. No hard feelings. Ethan, it's going to work out. You don't know that. I believe it anyway. He almost smiled. When do I start? Monday? Okay. Okay. He hung up. Sat there staring at his phone, wondering if he'd just made the best decision of his life or the worst. Emma appeared beside him. What happened? I got a new job. Doing what? Designing buildings again. Her face lit up. Really? Yeah. With Victoria? Yeah. She threw her arms around his neck. I'm so happy. Ethan held her tight, felt something in his chest loosen. Maybe this would work, maybe it wouldn't, but for the first time in 8 years, he was willing to try. Monday morning came too fast. Ethan stood outside Ashford Tower at 7:30, staring up at the building like he was seeing it for the first time. Somewhere on the 18th floor there was an office with his name on a temporary placard. Somewhere in that office was a desk, a computer, and architectural software he hadn't touched in 8 years. His hands were sweating. Emma had made him promise to text her when he got there. She'd drawn him a good luck card, a stick figure at a desk with a big smile. He had it folded in his pocket. The lobby doors opened. Victoria stepped out holding 2 coffee cups. "Thought you might need this," she said, handing him one. "How'd you know I'd be out here?" "Because I know you." She took a sip of her own coffee. "You ready?" "No?" "Good. That means you care." They rode the elevator up together. Ethan tried not to think about the last time they'd been in this elevator. Tried not to remember the silence, the anger, the weight of 8 years pressing down on them. The doors opened on 18. Victoria led him down a hallway he'd only seen from the maintenance side. Scaffolding, drop cloths, broken fixtures. Now it was carpeted, bright, full of people already at their desks. His office was small. Window facing east, desk with a new computer. A bookshelf waiting to be filled. On the desk was a framed photo he didn't recognize at first. Then he realized it was him and Emma at the park, the day Victoria had met them there. Someone had taken it without him noticing. Emma was on the swings, Ethan pushing her, both of them mid-laugh. "I hope that's okay," Victoria said from the doorway. "I thought, it's perfect." She smiled. "Your login info's on a sticky note. Team meetings at 9. You've got an hour to settle in." "Victoria?" "Yeah?" "Thank you." "Stop thanking me. You earned this." She left him alone. Ethan sat at the desk, opened the computer, stared at the login screen, typed in his credentials. The screen loaded, desktop, icons, architecture software he used to know by heart. He opened it. The interface had changed, new tools, new menus, but the bones were the same. He clicked around, testing, remembering. Found the project files Victoria had mentioned, pulled up the housing complex plans. And just like that, 8 years fell away. The morning passed in a blur. Team meeting at 9, 6 other people, all younger than Ethan, all looking at him with a mix of curiosity and respect. Victoria introduced him as the lead structural consultant. Someone asked about his background. Ethan gave them the short version, worked in architecture before, took some time off, back now. Nobody pushed. After the meeting, they broke into smaller groups. Ethan worked with 2 junior architects on foundation plans. They were good, smart, asked questions that made him think. By noon, he'd forgotten to be nervous. He texted Emma during lunch. "First day going okay?" She responded immediately with a string of emojis, hearts, stars, a building. Victoria knocked on his door around 2. "How's it going?" "Good, I think." "You think?" "It's strange, being back." "Good strange or bad strange?" "Both." She leaned against the doorframe. "You looked happy this morning. In the meeting. I was focused." "Same thing." Ethan turned back to his computer. "Don't read into it. Too late." He almost smiled. That evening, Ethan picked up Emma from after-school care and took her for burgers. She wanted to hear everything, what his office looked like, who he worked with, what buildings he was designing. "Are they big buildings or small buildings?" she asked. "Medium, houses for families." "Like ours?" "Better than ours." She frowned. "What's wrong with ours?" "Nothing, but these will have heat that works, and windows that don't leak, and space for kids to play." "Can we live in one?" Ethan's throat tightened. "Maybe someday. I like our apartment." "I know you do. But I'd like a new one too, if you designed it." He pulled her into a hug, held her tight. Over the next month, Ethan split his time between the architecture team and maintenance work. He'd spend mornings at his desk, afternoons fixing broken things around the building. It was exhausting, but it felt right, like he was keeping one foot in the life he'd built while stepping carefully into something new. Victoria was there through all of it, not hovering, not pushing, just present. She'd stop by his office with coffee, ask his opinion on designs, invite him to lunch with the team. And 3 nights a week, she'd come to the apartment, help Emma with homework, stay for dinner. Emma started calling her Vic, started saving drawings to show her, started asking when she'd be back whenever she left. And Ethan stopped questioning it. 6 weeks into the job, the housing project hit its first major obstacle. The city zoning board rejected their permit application. budget concerns, environmental reviews, a dozen bureaucratic reasons that all added up to the same thing: they were stuck. Victoria called an emergency meeting. The team sat around the conference table looking defeated. "We need a new approach," Victoria said. "Ideas?" Silence. Ethan looked at the plans spread across the table, thought about the families who'd lived there, kids like Emma who needed safe places to grow up. "What if we go smaller?" he said. Everyone turned. "Instead of 3 buildings, we do 2. Fewer units, lower cost, easier to get approved." "That cuts our capacity by a third," one of the junior architects said. "But it gets us built. And once the city sees what we're doing, sees that we're serious about doing it right, they'll approve phase 2. Victoria studied the plans. "It could work. It's a risk." "Everything's a risk." They voted, decided to move forward with the revised plan. Ethan stayed late that night, redrawing the designs. Victoria worked beside him, ordering takeout, running numbers, making calls. At midnight, she leaned back in her chair. "I forgot what this feels like." "What?" "Building something that matters." Ethan saved his work. "It's not built yet." "But it will be." He looked at her. "You sound sure." "I am, because you're designing it." Something passed between them, something that felt like the start of something neither of them had words for yet. The revised plans got approved 3 weeks later. Construction broke ground in early spring. Ethan stood on the site, hard hat on, watching the foundation pour. Victoria stood beside him, both of them covered in dust. "We did it," she said. "You did it. We did it together." Emma came to the site once, held Ethan's hand while workers moved around them. She was quieter than usual, taking it all in. "Is this really going to be houses?" she asked. "Yeah." "For kids like me?" "For all kinds of kids," she smiled, then signed something he didn't expect. "I'm proud of you." Ethan's vision blurred. He picked her up, held her close. "I'm proud of you too, baby." That night, after Emma was asleep, Ethan sat on the fire escape outside his apartment. The city stretched out below him, lights, noise, life. Victoria appeared beside him, 2 beers in hand. "Thought you might be out here," she said. "How'd you get in?" "Emma gave me a key last week, said I should have one in case of emergencies." Ethan took the beer. "She did, huh?" "Don't be mad at her." "I'm not." He took a drink. "I'm just realizing how much she's let you in." "Is that a bad thing?" "No, it's big. For her. She doesn't trust easy." "Neither do you." "No, I don't." Victoria sat beside him. "But you're trying." "Yeah." They sat in silence. Below them, a car alarm went off. Someone yelled at someone else. Normal city sounds. "My father called me yesterday," Victoria said. Ethan looked at her. "What did he want?" "To apologize." "Sort of. In his way." "Which is?" "Telling me he did what he thought was right, that he'd do it again, but that he's sorry I got hurt. That's not an apology." "I know." "What did you say?" "That he's not welcome at company events anymore. That I'll send him financial reports, but that's it. And that if he ever tries to interfere again, I'll sell his shares out from under him." Ethan almost smiled. "How'd he take it?" "About as well as you'd expect. Hung up on me." "I'm sorry." "I'm not." She took a drink. "He made his choices. I'm making mine. And my choice is to build something better than what he left behind." "The housing project?" "That and this." She gestured between them. "Us. Whatever this is." Ethan's heart stuttered. "What is this?" Victoria turned to him. "I don't know, but I want to find out, if you do." He'd been waiting for this moment, dreading it and wanting it in equal measure. Because wanting Victoria meant risking everything, meant trusting that she wouldn't leave, that they could build something real from the wreckage of what they'd lost. "I'm scared," he admitted. "Me too." "What if we screw it up?" "Then we'll deal with it, together." "What about Emma? If this doesn't work, it will." "You don't know that." "No, but I'm willing to bet on it anyway." She set down her beer. "I love her, Ethan. I love the way she lights up when she shows me her drawings. I love the way she signs thank you after every meal. I love that she's fierce and funny and doesn't let anything stop her. Ethan's throat closed. And I love you, Victoria continued. I never stopped, not in 8 years. Not when I hated you, not when I thought you'd abandoned me, not ever. Victoria, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. But Ethan was already moving, already closing the distance between them, already kissing her like he'd wanted to for months. She kissed him back, soft at first, then harder. Like 8 years of missing each other had finally found an outlet. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, Victoria was crying. I love you too, Ethan said. I never stopped either. She laughed, pressed her forehead to his. We're idiots. Yeah, we are. They sat there on the fire escape, holding each other, while the city moved around them. The housing project finished construction in late fall. 2 buildings, 40 units. Community center, playground with equipment designed for kids with disabilities. Every unit met accessibility standards. Every material chosen for safety and durability. The day families started moving in, Ethan brought Emma to see it. They walked through the completed buildings, Emma's hand in his, both of them quiet. Did you really make this? She asked. I helped. It's amazing. You think so? I know so. They found Victoria outside talking to a family who'd just gotten their keys. A mother, a father, 2 kids. The mother was crying. The father kept saying thank you. The kids were already running toward the playground. Victoria saw Ethan and Emma, excused herself, walked over. What do you think? She asked. I think it's real, Ethan said. It is. Emma tugged on Victoria's sleeve. Can I play on the playground? Of course. Emma ran off. Ethan and Victoria watched her climb the equipment, waving at the other kids, already making friends. She's happy, Victoria said. Yeah. Are you? Ethan looked at the buildings, at the families moving in, at Emma laughing on the playground, at Victoria beside him. Yeah, he said, I really am. 2 months later, Victoria showed Ethan an apartment listing. 3 bedrooms, near Emma's school. Better heat, better windows. Affordable because it was in one of their buildings. What do you think? She asked. Ethan looked at the photos, at the space, the light, the potential. I can't afford this, he said. You're lead architect now. You got a raise last month. Victoria, just look at it. That's all I'm asking. They went to see it the next day. Emma came with them. She ran from room to room, signing about which one would be hers, where they'd put the couch, whether they could get a cat. Ethan stood in the living room. Imagined mornings here. Emma getting ready for school, coffee brewing, sunlight through windows that didn't leak. I'll think about it, he said. Victoria smiled. Good. They moved in 3 weeks later. Emma's room had space for her drawings, her blocks, her books. Ethan's room had a desk where he could work. The living room had a couch that Victoria had picked out, claiming their old one was held together by hope and duct tape. The first night, Emma insisted they all eat dinner together, pizza on actual plates instead of paper. Victoria had brought a bottle of wine. Emma had juice in a fancy glass that made her feel grown up. This feels like a real home, Emma signed. It is a real home, Ethan said. I mean a home with all of us. Ethan looked at Victoria. She looked back. Yeah, Ethan said. It does. After Emma went to bed, Ethan found Victoria on the balcony. Their new place had one. Small, but enough for 2 people to stand. You okay? She asked. I keep waiting for something to go wrong. What if nothing does? That doesn't happen. It could. Ethan leaned against the railing. I spent 8 years convinced I didn't deserve good things, that I'd screwed up too bad, lost too much. And now? Now I'm standing in an apartment I can actually afford, doing work I actually care about, with a woman I thought I'd lost forever. Victoria moved closer. So maybe you were wrong. Maybe you deserve all of it. I don't know about deserve. Then how about this? Maybe you're allowed to be happy, even if you don't think you've earned it. Ethan pulled her close. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You were just too stubborn to notice. He kissed her, long and slow, like they had all the time in the world now. Spring came. The second phase of the housing project got approved. More buildings, more families. Ethan's name was on the plans this time, listed as lead architect. Not hidden, not erased. Marcus Ashford resigned from the company board entirely, sold his remaining shares, moved to Florida, sent Victoria a letter she never opened. Emma turned 8. They had the party at their new apartment, bigger space, more friends from school. Mrs. Park came bringing cookies like always. The whole architecture team showed up. Emma was so excited she couldn't sit still. When it came time to blow out the candles, Emma closed her eyes, made a wish, blew them all out in one breath. "What did you wish for?" Ethan asked. "I can't tell you, or it won't come true." "Fair enough." Later, after everyone left, Victoria helped clean up while Ethan put Emma to bed. Today was perfect, Emma signed. "I'm glad." "Are you going to marry Victoria?" Ethan blinked. "What? You love her. She loves you. That's what people do." "It's more complicated than that." "Why?" "Because—" He stopped, couldn't think of a good reason. "I don't know. You should ask her." "I'll think about it." "Don't think too long. You're not getting younger." Ethan laughed. "Where'd you hear that?" "Mrs. Park says it all the time." He kissed her forehead. "Go to sleep." In the living room, Victoria was folding the last of the paper tablecloths. "She asleep?" Victoria asked. "Almost." Ethan grabbed a trash bag. "She asked me if I'm going to marry you." Victoria froze. "What did you say?" "That it's complicated." "Is it?" "I don't know." "Is it?" Victoria set down the tablecloth, walked over to him. "Do you want to?" "I haven't thought about it." "Liar." He smiled. "Okay, maybe I've thought about it. And I don't want to rush. I don't want to mess this up. We won't." "You keep saying that." "Because I keep believing it." Ethan took her hands. "If I asked, what would you say?" "Yes." "You didn't even hesitate." "Why would I?" "Because we've only been doing this for a few months. Because Emma's still adjusting. Because—" Victoria kissed him, cut off every excuse. "Ask me," she said when they pulled apart. "What?" "Ask me, right now." "I don't have a ring." "I don't care." Ethan looked at her. At this woman who'd come back into his life through a broken elevator and a sick kid, and 8 years of pain neither of them caused, but both of them carried. This woman who'd learned sign language for his daughter, who'd cleared his name, who'd given him back the career he thought he'd lost forever. He got down on one knee. "Victoria Ashford, will you marry me?" She was crying. "Yes." "I don't have a ring." "I said yes anyway." He stood up, kissed her, held her while she cried into his shoulder. From down the hall, Emma's voice, "Finally!" They both turned. Emma was standing in her doorway, grinning. "You're supposed to be asleep," Ethan signed. "I was listening." "Of course you were. Are you getting married?" "Yeah." Emma ran down the hall, threw her arms around both of them. "I'm so happy." "Me too, baby." "Can I be in the wedding?" Victoria laughed through her tears. "Obviously." They stood there in the middle of their apartment, the three of them, holding each other like they were afraid to let go. The wedding was small. City Hall. Just Emma, Mrs. Park, a few friends from work. Victoria wore a simple dress. Ethan wore a suit Emma had helped him pick out. Emma wore a blue dress and carried flowers. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, Emma raised her hand. Everyone froze. "I have something to say," she signed. Ethan translated, trying not to laugh. "I love both of you, and I'm really glad you're getting married. That's all." The officiant smiled. "Noted." Afterward, they went to dinner at a restaurant Emma picked. Pizza place she loved, nothing fancy, just good food and people they cared about. That night, back at the apartment, Emma fell asleep between them on the couch. Ethan carried her to bed. When he came back, Victoria was on the balcony. He joined her. "You okay?" "I'm married." "Yeah, you are." "To you." That a problem? The opposite. They stood in silence. The city spread out below them. Somewhere out there, families were living in buildings Ethan had designed. Kids were playing on playgrounds he'd planned. People had safe homes because he'd refused to let Marcus Ashford bury the truth. You know what I keep thinking about? Victoria said. What? That elevator. 8 years ago, I thought it was the worst day of my life. Running into you. Having to face what I thought you'd done. And now? Now I think it was the best thing that could have happened, because it brought us here. Ethan pulled her close. Took the long way around. Worth it, though. Yeah, it was. They stood there holding each other, while the city hummed around them. A year later, Victoria stepped down as CEO. Not because she had to, because she wanted to. She stayed on the board, consulted on major projects, but gave herself space to breathe. Ethan took over as director of the Affordable Housing Division, led a team of 12, designed buildings across the city, got his face in trade magazines, won awards he never thought he'd see again. Emma thrived, made friends at school, joined the art club, started talking about being an architect when she grew up. Or maybe an artist. Or maybe both. And every Sunday, the three of them would go to the original housing project, watch families who lived there, see kids on the playground, remember where they'd started. One Sunday, a woman approached them. She was young, maybe 30, holding a toddler. "Are you Ethan Cole?" she asked. "Yeah." "I just wanted to say thank you. My family lives in Building 2, Unit 14. It's the first place we've lived that felt safe. The first place my son can play without me worrying." Ethan didn't know what to say. "Thank you," the woman said again. Then she walked away. Victoria squeezed his hand. "That's why we do this." "Yeah." Emma tugged on his sleeve. "What did she say?" "She said thank you." "For what?" "For building something that matters." Emma smiled. "I think you're really good at that." Ethan looked at his wife, at his daughter, at the buildings around them. "I think I finally am," he said. "Because here's the thing, nobody tells you about second chances. They don't erase the first try. They don't undo the pain or the mistakes or the years you lost, but they give you something better. They give you the chance to build something new on top of everything that broke." Ethan had spent 8 years believing he'd lost everything that mattered, his career, his love, his future. And in some ways, he had. But what he'd built in its place, the life he'd created with Emma, the relationship he'd fought for with Victoria, the work he did that actually helped people, none of that would have existed without the breaking. Sometimes the wrong elevator is exactly where you need to be. Sometimes the person you thought abandoned you never left at all. Sometimes the life you're living is preparing you for the life you're meant to have. And sometimes, if you're lucky enough and stubborn enough and brave enough to keep trying, you get to stand in the middle of something you built with your own hands and realize that every broken piece led you here, to a family that chose each other, to work that matters, to a love that survived everything trying to destroy it. That's what Ethan learned. That's what Victoria learned. That's what Emma already knew. The best things in life aren't the ones that come easy. They're the ones you have to fight for, the ones you have to rebuild, the ones you have to choose over and over until choosing them becomes who you are. And on a Sunday afternoon in late summer, standing outside a building he'd designed with a wife he'd won back and a daughter who'd taught him what love really means, Ethan finally understood. He was exactly where he was supposed to be.